welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. I noticed something over here. There's a bunch of signs in a book. This is the HRN worksite, Pirate District Station. False's Pirate Station, and this is a official HRN document. This is to certify that False Symmetry is the official proprietor of the Pirate District Station. I'm getting all sorts of distracted at the beginning of this stream. My friends, it is March the 23rd, a Saturday, a very early in the morning Saturday, because the Hermitcraft livestream day is about to begin for me. Of course, when you're watching this video, all of that would have happened, and I plan on working over here in the Concorp area, and therefore, I'm going to cut in a moment and show you all of the things that we did in the stream, right? Hopefully I'll get a lot done. Sometimes streams can be a little bit unproductive, but I'm prepared. We've got our clays and stuff over here, and I brought with me loads of shulker boxes with the supplies that we'll probably need for working in this area. I plan on expanding these paths, just tidying up some of the things that we've seen already, like giving this building a roof. But I had the opportunity to meet up with Cub and Scar. We kind of discussed and changed some of our plans for the area, and we figured out what we're going to do with the HRN line. Remember, there were loads of yellow concrete blocks flying over the top of here. I was trying out all sorts of things and never really happened with it. And then we agreed what we're going to do is actually put it level with the paths. So over here I've sort of experimented a little bit with some different blocks that we could use, and although it's sort of been teared apart a little bit, we have a plan for what this is going to look like. So now the HRN line is going to come from down there, it's going to turn a corner, come up to the top and go ahead in a straight line right here. It will then tuck underground when we need to have a pathway going across, and it will re-emerge and essentially just work like that. It's going to be level with the ground and sort of fenced off, which I think is going to look spectacular. So first of all, the roof. This one has been constructed, and it will only take us a moment to look at it because it's not terribly exciting. We borrowed elements of what was over on this roof, and I've also just tidied that up so it didn't have those trapdoors which were surrounding these blocks, which look kind of ugly. And then down here, walking into the place, we look upwards and you can see there's only one beam through the middle, and there's a smaller use of iron bars. I think it looks nicer when we've used less of them, and that means that this stage is complete with exception to the beacon. And of course this one is finished as well. There were some more iron bars up the top here, you might remember them. They've been removed, the room looks better without. But let's talk about the outside now, because I've been focusing on these paths and expanding them, and we got to focus on the HRN. And over here you'll see that I kind of prepared this to go underground, and I think it's actually just going to be a little too messy because it keeps needing to go up and down for paths to go across. And what we should do is actually have the tracks run through this and then create a crossing section. So I've got some ideas to make that look really interesting. But anyway, the line is going to run down here all the way up to the station. And I think it's kind of ironic that I started over there because it just happens to be that False has worked on it. It is essentially like a lone little rock with some palm trees on and a skull right there. I have not actually flown around to this side to see if there's anything different at the back. Okay, there isn't, but it's absolutely brilliant, and it really plays into this street right here. We've got the view of the HRN at one end, and now we'll have the view of the skull cave at the other. And isn't it False who finds shulker boxes that haven't been given shelter and kidnaps them? Oh, no, this is absolutely wonderful. Wow, what a project. Let's get back on track, my friends. Track, was that just a pun? We got to build a track from here all the way up to there. And this is probably a bad place to start, right? If we just move down here a little bit, you can kind of see some design coming together. We're going to elaborate on this in a moment. But over here, I'm trying to create a crossing. And one of the things that I don't like about what you see right here is that we have things that would be in motion, they would be animated, but then they have to become static. But what you're looking at here is actually done by Cub. I sort of did this little bit here. I threw down this as a kind of, you know, yellow and black hazard thing. We've got that going on underneath these activator rails, which are a deliberate change to throw some red in there for danger, although there's a lot of red around here because of the path. And anyway, I think I like this, but I want to scale it down a little bit and remove the wooden texture we got here and just push them back in and see if we can make that a little bit cozier, because it's kind of big, but feels like that's the way to go, right? We've got a proper crossing look about this, which is fantastic. And then over here, I've just extended this thing all the way. We have a crossing right here, and then we have a second one. And I was putting down these rails, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, I was only supposed to have one path going into this area. So I actually might just make this path a little bit smaller here and cut this one out. I've enjoyed this project for today, I really have, but we're going to do one more thing and then move on. And you'll see here I'm making some adjustments. You'll see a few things have changed around the place. For example, these things are now made with jungle trapdoors. I felt like the contrast was needed because there was too much of this texture everywhere. This is like a bit of a warning texture, a stay back. The orange is quite vivid, and I've used it again around here because this is going to be staff only access. And I started off with one of the poles going across and it didn't quite look right, and I switched things around and just kind of followed my inspiration a little bit, and I actually really like this. It looks proper, and again the banners have come in and been excellent, and we've changed the banner design over here as well, but I think this one is a lot better than the previous one. And then we've got this set up over here, and then as you can see the line ends and it goes underground, and I'm going to save this for another day. I just need to create a simple little connection around to the side here, so that's probably something that I'll do on a live stream. But yeah, not much left to do in that little corner, and then the HRN will be connected. So what is the one other thing I'm going to do in the area? It is this birchwood. We're going to try and make it look like tram cables, okay? Posts that go up and then cables that go across. It could also be a lighting fixture, but this didn't really work out. Tried putting them on different positions, didn't really look so good. Then I thought, oh, iron bars, they could look like the cables, but they don't connect to these birch posts. I guess they could connect to these other materials I'm about to experiment with, because when I was placing down those end rods, I came up with something pretty cool. So I think the problem with these designs should be pretty obvious. These blocks are just a bit too much. They're blocking off the view. I think the iron bars are a little too ugly, but this right here might have some promise, and it emits light, which is exactly what we want. Okay, that is clearly a no. And that is almost there. Not quite. This really needs to connect, but I like how this block isn't a full block, yet it connects to the end rod. There must be some sort of combination here, but for now, I think we're going to leave it at that. So I have a question for you. Do you recognize what you see in front of you? You probably do. This is an iron farm, and down here are the spawn chunks of the Hermitcraft server. I've come over here because I've been thinking about 1.14, and the iron farm is no longer going to work in that update, so we should probably make sure we're all stockpiled up on iron. I don't know if Tango has been doing the crafting and all of that stuff, but I'm happy to come over here and help. And it got me thinking about these spawn chunks right here. I've been thinking about it from time to time. When do you normally see this place? Right after someone dies. They spawn or respawn somewhere around here, and then they have a treacherous old time climbing over these hills, sometimes at night when mobs are here in the area because it's not even lit up, and they have to make their way over to that portal, and that is ridiculous. You know, Hermitcraft has a track record of these spawn chunks being rather neglected. We need to change that this season, and so I want to make some preparations, and I'm going to start simply in this episode by clearing all of the area you see around here so we can build something much more appeasing. Now I'm going to get the camera in the sky into action because there's something that I want to talk to you about, and we'll do that while you see me working on this from above. So I have a Patreon, which is a way for members of this community to support me directly, and I don't talk about it very often, but I am bringing it up this episode because I am currently in the process of revising the perks and rewards of being a patron so that we can reach our goals on there. Currently we offer access to the LPMT, the Let's Play Minecraft Together server, which is like my patron server if you want to call it that, as well as a few other things, but the main thing I want to talk about is the exclusive merchandise that is available on there. Now what I'm going to be doing is retiring the current merchandise from print, meaning that it won't be available again for the foreseeable future. What we have currently is a custom mousepad with artwork from Raven's Child. Then we have an Asuma figurine, like a little 3D model of my avatar. And then we have 3 A1 sized posters, which are very large, and they are themed around my favourite game, Doom. It's like a crossover type thing, which I love. Since I know some of you will now be interested in this merchandise, they're still going to be available until the beginning of May. So that means pledges from both March and April. I'll be able to ship out the last batches as we retire this merchandise and launch a new set of another free posters, another mouse pad, and an Evil X figurine that I'm going to show you in the month of May. So we're retiring this set of merchandise, and then we'll be launching a new set in the future. So there is plenty of time to pledge, and as you might expect, a link to the Patreon can be found in the description box of this video. And on a final note, a massive thank you to all of my patrons. I don't say it often enough, and I want to develop a habit of saying thanks, because you have all supported me, made a massive difference, and helped this channel grow. And so if you are a patron, a really big thank you from me to you. Whew, that was quite the grind, my friends. I thought this would be a quick little 1 hour job. Nope, took me probably at least twice as long as that, but I have gathered up a whole bunch of resources from doing this. Also, found loads of crafting tables lying around the place, which is no surprise. So these will be all packed away into shulker boxes. Probably the most valuable stuff over on this side, the sand and the sandstone. Of course, we've been using loads of sand, and maybe sandstone is something we'll use here to renovate this area. My mind is just oozing with ideas because we have a blank canvas in front of us. Now, one of the things you might notice is a little chicken over there in the distance, one over here. A couple of cows, and I think even a pig and a wolf hanging out in the water. These are the spawn chunks, and if no one else is on the server, then animals can spawn on the grass. If I were to kill the ones that were here in the spawn chunks, which I'm actually going to do right now, when we're recording on here today, later on we might just see 1 or 2 more spawning on the grass. And I also mentioned this to Tango. You see, his thing that he's built here in the middle is made out of grass, and he was happy for me to modify that when I last spoke to him, but I will of course speak to him again about it. So we won't be rushing into any building today. We've got a technical thing to take care of with the moving of the portal. And then we have to sort out all of the iron down here. It's been a while since I've seen this, and if you've never seen it either, there is an amazing chamber built by Mr. Tango Tech right in front of us, where golems fall down and then drowns kill them with tridents. As you can see, there are an army of drowns here, and after a few hits, the iron golem gets taken out. It is simply quite amazing. But back here is where all of the iron is stored up, and I'm going to guess this hasn't been crafted in a while. Yep, so I'm going to be breaking all of these chests and turning them into iron blocks. I have picked the grindy jobs today, haven't I? Look at this. 36,000 iron blocks crafted. Pretty cool. I just turned around thinking, okay, we've done this. It's time to do the other side. And had a moment of relief because there is no other side. The iron only exists over here. And I've emptied out all of the chests. There are a lot of them. There are also some poppies in there, but over here, I'm kidding you not. I am kidding you not. Iron for days, iron for weeks, iron for months, iron for years. Now we've got to move it all over to Tango's shop. I leave these spawn chunks for half a minute so I can grab a bunch of shulker boxes. And what pops up? Did you die? Full gear box, 3 diamond stacks. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What if you don't have diamonds in your ender chest? I've gone and set up my own little shop. No diamonds in your ender chest, loan diamonds. Repay 3 stacks plus 10 diamond fee to Asuma. Repayable in 24 hours. Genius, right? I can make a sweet 10 diamonds off of this. Oh, wonderful. Someone should tell Tango that his iron shop has been restocked and that he's got profits galore to collect. In fact, not only has it been restocked, it's been expanded with extra chests on the side here. Look at all those diamonds. Tango, you got to come pick them up. Anyway, I was thinking for my hard work, I deserve a small fee, I think. And that shall be a simple one, you see, for I wish to fly for free. Yeah, I'm just going to fill this thing to the top. I'm sure Tango won't mind. I'd been messaging him every other day saying, can you fill up the rocket shop? So I have a full shulker box of rockets. Fantastic. And I had one more thing to do in this area, and that was to move the portal so it was right next to where you respawn. But since there's a couple of shops over there, I think we'll just leave it be for now. And what I want to do is go and AFK overnight at my witch farm and get loads of glowstone and redstone because I'm actually low on that. So it's kind of a good time because I have loads of shulker boxes in my inventory that we can fill it up with. Or maybe not. Maybe we can't fill them up because there haven't been many witches spawning. I've been here overnight and for many hours. As you can see, there are pigmen. I think down here there's a small family of them as well. A couple of little ones hanging out. Let's check out how much we got. absolutely nothing. I mean, it's better than nothing, but the problem is other players have been AFKing on the server overnight as well, so there are very little mobs to go around, but hey, it'll at least keep us going for now. Also, at some point I will come over here and redo this farm and make it better, because we built everything above where they spawn, which slows down the rates. I think I might make that like a live stream only project though, so one day in the future you might just see this place has been renovated. And now it's time for the third part of this video. If you haven't noticed, one of the things I like to do is kind of break the video up into thirds and try and get to 3 different things each episode. Doesn't always work out that way, but this is the third part of this episode. And we're waiting for the beacon beam to appear. Let's get that haste effect back in this area, because I'm probably going to need it. So we are next to our pumpkin and melon towers, and in the last video I asked all of you if you'd like to see the area behind me get converted to a sandy area, and the response was mixed, but mostly passionate. People either really liked the idea or really didn't like it. And here's what I've been thinking. Over in this space we've got mixes of structure and sand from the beaches, right? There's a little bit just over there where you can't quite see. There's some of it around there. And that, I think, is what we're going to go for where the river is. So we're going to make the river kind of beachy on its sides, and then have some structure which will be like the border of this area. Kind of like Python's done over here, with a little bit of land mixed in front of it. So that's the plan for the sand. But this area right here, I think maybe we should come up with our own block palette and give it its own custom landscaping look, right? But most of that will be mixed between pathways like this right here, and then platforms for skyscrapers, which is just over there. Pathways like this, and platforms for buildings, structures and farms and all sorts. We're going to design a layout for this entire area around here, and eventually over time we'll fill up with all sorts of projects. Hello Mr. Skeleton Man, who has just marched out into the sunlight. Where did you come from? So, quick refresher, we are using strip logs on the walls here in the pathway like areas. So there's a pathway up here, there's a pathway there, we've got some strip logs. Bit of an exception across the river, and then we use unstripped logs for the main structures. Only a cha-cha so far. We'll try and incorporate some more, as I do want to use all of them. But who's to say they will all look good? I'm pretty confident though that oak is going to look absolutely fine next to some cyan terracotta. And so the arrangements that you see right here are pretty deliberate, because we're going to build these things in groups of 5 like we've done so far. I'm going to pair that up with the spruce, that's looking nice, and then we'll have our typical combination of terracotta coming over like this. Except in this space it's going to be slightly different, because as you can see it drops back, and I think that will be absolutely fine. Now the reason that it does that is so we can kind of stagger the walls and make them move a little bit closer to the river and further back as well. There is a little bit of a different formation right here though. The cyan will come out like so over this space, and then we have the extra log there. So this is what it looks like. We're going to be tearing out the grass, replacing it with the sand. That's where the sandy part is going to go. I also haven't done this properly. We're going to get in there, rip out the dirt blocks underneath these other ones and make sure they extend all the way downwards. But there was one thing that I was looking at this and thinking about. Is the height good? It's only 1 block high. I think we're going to transform some of the terrain behind it so it's lower down and it all makes sense. But I do think height is good. And so over on this area, what we'll actually do is start to transform the wall and make it get a little bit higher. So then this part of the river can have bigger walls, but we will stick to the same block palette. And in classic Asuma style, with the next cut, I have changed my mind. We're going to use jungle wood over on this side. And you can see jungle wood trapdoors and then oak wood trapdoors. I think it looks alright. Needs to be scaled up a little bit over here. And I haven't gone in and done this properly yet. This is just like the rough layout. Also, these pressure plates that are everywhere, dropping off jangled cookies. Keep picking these up. Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway, it goes around the corner there, but what you really want to see is over on this side, where I have finished putting in all of the sand and little details like slabs, and all the walls are properly built, and it looks really quite nice, doesn't it? I don't know how this thing's going to wrap up at the end, but we'll figure that out at another time. I need to give this sand treatment over to this side next. And that has been done, my friends, but I also got the opportunity to meet up with Python, and we discussed a couple of projects. One of them is going to be a bridge that goes across the middle here to divide up our 2 different sides. And now we can just take a moment here to gently glide across and look at all the detail. I love making these little beaches. I think they look fantastic. They're very simple as well. You just need a few ideas and you essentially repeat them over and over again. And it goes as far as here, and this feels like a point where I probably need to figure out how this is going to end and connect with what's going on over here, right? The other idea me and Python have is to create a HRN line coming into this area. So over here you can see Stress's train off in the distance. There is a track leading up to it, and it is this spot to my left that we're talking about having a station. In fact, I talked to Stress. Stress is going to be building a station here of Iskow, and it's going to have a track that will go somewhere in this direction, maybe even through the middle of all of this, and then come into this area. So somewhere we're going to end up with a station in this area as well for the HRN. So we'll have like a miniature line that can drop you off at Python's and drop you off over here as well. So change of scenery, we're flying over the pirate area, which is right next to the Concorp Studios. And you may see a little change in front of us right here. To the right of me is the Shantytown project. The last time we worked on this, it was just a collection of walls sort of patched together on the outside. And during a live stream, I just got such a wave of inspiration to work on this project again. We're kicking up yet another project right here. This now has some interior done. As you can see, around the front here, it's all sandy and beachy, and we are so going to extend that over the side here where this grass is, because I think it makes a lot of sense for this thing to be built around a giant sandstone rock, which I have started to craft on the inside. And on the inside here you can see that now these walls are turning into little homes. On the inside here we've got a pathway linking up all the doorways together, and we've got little roofs that have been put together in kind of like a patchwork style. But this right here is the beginning of a rocky formation. I'd like to try and make this thing really tall so it can be like the centerpiece of this little shanty town, and I am just in absolute inspiration mode at the moment. But that, my friends, is all we have time for. I'm going to have to wrap this one up. If you enjoyed the episode, then please do leave a like as always. Thank you for doing that. It supports the channel. And if you're interested in the Patreon merch, check it out down below in the description box. So as always, a massive thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to my patrons as well. I appreciate you supporting me do what I do. Anyway, that's it from me this episode. I'll see y'all soon. Bye bye.